Hi, welcome to the Bridge to Your Anniversary Q&A that Faithy and I have set up.
Hey!
Alright, we have assembled the questions you've asked her on her journal and me on my blog, and we're going to go through them one by one.
Mm,
Now, be aware some of the questions have been cut down because we promised only one story spoiler question, as well as some people asked the same question, so we just kind of compiled you all together.
Yeah, just made it a bit easier.
hmm
Alrighty. So, many people asked us.
Hey, wait a minute.
Hmm,
We're missing someone.
oh yeah, where's Skylark?
Wait a sec. Oh, sorry, I forgot. He sent me a message, said he couldn't make it. Had some sort of party or get together he was going to.
Hmm. Oh, okay.
Hope he's having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Probably nothing big.
Yeah, probably.
I'm actually here.
Well then.
You were saying?
Many people asked, will there be a sequel to The Bridge? Do you have an idea or concept of what the sequel will be about?
Yeah, I probably do. It's only groundwork at the moment because I'm still figuring out exactly how Bridge ends and all the loose ends that might need to be tied up in the sequel, but it'll probably involve the MLP multiverse.
Alrighty. Will there be a prequel in the future when The Bridge is over?
Yes, one is planned that will cover Equestria's history and King Caesar's adventures during it, since he was the only active kaiju at the time.
Was there an original idea for The Bridge? Is there something from the story that was supposed to be in it but got changed?
This is kind of listed on the TV tropes page under what could have been, but basically the original story was going to be just a short tale with just two kaiju, and then expanded when I started thinking that I wanted a bigger and bigger roster, and some other stuff changed along the way. Like originally Zenila was going to be the main villain, then I had King Ghidorah, and then finally ended up with Bagan.
What inspired you to write this story?
Stray Ideas, Newfound Love for MLP, another crossover story called Friendship is Showtime, which is a Kamen Rider Wizard and MLP crossover. Got me into thinking what I could do with Tokusatsu, and that just expanded in Japan in general. Since I grew up on Godzilla movies, and MLP brought me back to my childhood, it was natural to put the two together. And I might have had a little bit of spite. You see, a lot of Godzilla fics I've been reading were quite grimdark. Still perfectly good, mind you, but it seemed like there was a movement in the fandom that almost seemed spiteful over the sillier, wackier Showa era that people almost honestly seem to be wanting to forget. I wanted to bring some of that camp back and make a more neutral styled story.
Spike can really inspire a man.
Alright. Who are your favorite characters, and who are your favorite characters to write about? Kaiju and MLP, or both? What is your favorite character in the bridge? I'd say my favorite kaiju out of the lot is Anguirus. He always has and always will be. As for ponies, I love Twilight Sparkle. Though I do find Monster X to be one of my more interesting characters and one of my favorite to write about, given his very limited history and backstory. I had a lot of fun expanding on it.
Hmm. Well, my favorite ponies are Fluttershy and Princess Luna, while my favorite kaiju is the entire Mothra line. By extension, Leah is my favorite bridge character.
Alright, next one. Did you anticipate the story getting as large as it is? No.
Well, I always hoped that this would succeed, so I'm currently over the moon right now.
How many chapters do you have planned out for this story? Not sure an exact amount. I do have the overall plot laid out. I'm just not sure how many chapters it will take. Sometimes stuff can end up shorter or longer than I thought it would be.
More
Rough, rough guess, 20.
Don't be surprised though if it takes a little bit more.
You wish.
Will rainbow power factor into the story?
Given this takes place in the middle of season 4, yes.
Will we see more kaiju in Equestria?
Sadly, no. If they haven't been name dropped already, or an alternate form of an already established kaiju, I can't put anybody else in. Or else the roster would have just gotten even more bloated than it already is.
Will King Caesar make an appearance in the main story? Will there be future chapters that feature him in the past, like in chapter 19?
He may appear in flashbacks, though his major role will come in the prequel. Still not sure what extra ideas I might get down the road, so don't write anything off. Have either of you seen Jurassic World? How was it? Did you enjoy it? Oh, I've seen it many times. I went to the premiere.
As did I.
As far as if I enjoyed it, does a fish swim?
Yes, I specifically remember doing commissions for like an entire week or two before the movie was even supposed to come out. And I built up the money and treated my friends to a midnight showing of it. And it was so much fun, and the movie was awesome.
That end fight, though.
I know. Ah.
We better get back on topic before we start talking about the movie constantly.
Well, that's on to the shipping questions now.
Yeah, the part anybody was wanting to get in on. Column 123 asked, will there be more ship teases in the story?
Maybe. Sweet Captain 77 asked, do you actually plan on having some concrete shipping happen in this story, or is it all just teasing?
Something concrete will happen. As for what? Did you really think I was going to spoil that on this video? Brony Kaiju Soldier on Fanfic asks, what's your take on all the junior ships? Abbott, him with Luna, him with Leah, or him with Blade Dancer? They were all very, very unexpected.
Yeah, I agree. The latter two really surprised me. Well, him with Luna and him with Blade Dancer, excuse me. Though I do remember jokingly mentioning to Tarb the possibility of Junior and Leah, and then somehow it caught on.
Thankfully, that camp's pretty quiet.
I swear I didn't do it.
You swear?
I promise.
At this point, I write no one off at creating these things.
I did nothing. I said nothing.
Next question. Dragon363 and Moongaze14 ask, what is your favorite Godzilla shipping? Why is it always Junior? Luna's kind of grown on me a bit. I think it's cute. Though other ones like X and Arya and Zen and Blade Dancer are also kind of good.
Ditto. Isaac Holt asked, will Junior understand the true meaning of love with Luna? Next question.
Yukio Pony Adventures asked, will Junior and Blade Dancer get together? I have been trying to man the torpedoes for this ship for about 10 chapters now. And nothing is working.
Calm, Tarb, calm.
Why won't you die?
They will understand soon.
Seriously, this was meant to be a joke. How did this catch on?
A lot of ships start off as jokes.
Then again, Junior and Luna first met by trying to kill each other.
Yeah, kind of getting kicked through a wall does some stuff to you.
Oi, 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 oi. And now for some personal questions from the readers. Shadow Rift on Fanfiction asks, how do you, I think he's referring to me, and Faith know each other? Oh, simple. She's my Pookie.
Terrible.
She's so cute when she gets like this.
Next question.
As you request. Kakiyu Spark on DA asks, cookies, cake, pie, or muffins? Unexpected, but muffins, please. Chocolate. What am I saying? Ma's gingerbread cookies are the best thing ever, and I will fight anyone who argues with me.
For me, why not all? I have a serious sweet tooth. Um, but to be serious, if I had to list them, pie is my most favorite, specifically apple pie. Second is cake, then cookies, and then muffins. Sadly, I haven't found my perfect muffin yet, but my grandma's homemade peanut butter cookies are the bomb.
No perfect muffin, eh? You make Derpy sad.
I'm sorry, Derpy. I will find it someday. Is there anyone from any universe that can run, swim, fly fast enough to escape from the royal sister's wrath and live to tell the tale? None can escape the Celestials. And can anyone figure out how Pinkie Pie does the things that she does?
Flufflepuff, maybe, considering she's Pinkie's Mega Evolution.
It's Pinkie Pie, don't question it. Black Vegetable asked, other kaiju monster films that you liked outside of Godzilla, Pacific Rim, Gamera, etc.?
What ones I didn't like would be a much shorter list.
I haven't seen any others.
Fun Size Fluffy on DA asks, I swear the DA names are about 5 times funnier than the Fimfic names. Who is your favorite MOP Next Gen character to work on? Faith?
Oh, it's for me. Well, I do have a soft spot for Princess Alatha, my Luna kid. Though, admittedly, she hasn't gotten too much development at the moment, but that will change. I do have things in the works for her.
Well, with a kick-ass design like that, you didn't have to do much to make her a Phantom Sweetheart. Alright. Also from Fluffy is favorite part of episode 100 of MLP and why?
Oh, so hard to choose. Why do you make me choose? If I've got to pick, gotta be that music battle between Octavia and Vinyl, as well as the bass mobile scene that follows. Just gotta love the music. Though, despite that, I adore Derpy's return. I was so upset after that whole debacle with her back in, what was it, season 2?
Yeah, season 2 or 3.
And so having her back with a voice that still keeps to her character and actually sounds a lot like her fan voice, just, I'm so happy and I'm so relieved.
I'd say my favorite part was the fact the show was not afraid to show that it loved the Phantom, and it wasn't afraid to make fun of itself. I really love it when shows lampshade its own quirks and pretty much showboat them and make some good laughs about it. Some people got up in arms about Vinyl being mute, but I thought it was funny. Chaos Phantom 444 asks, what are your thoughts on Season 5? I'm loving it pretty good. Hasn't really had an episode in it that I outright disliked so far, though I thought the opening could have been a bit stronger.
I agree. I love it so far, especially the most recent episode.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of recording this, we're in the mid-season hiatus, so the last episode that we've seen so far is Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep?
Which I distinctly recall you squealing at least 5 times when we were watching that. What am I saying? I was doing the same thing.
And of course, Princess Big Mac!
And Derpzilla.
Derpzilla! And Handsome Spike.
Mm-hmm. Manry Spike.
Manry Spike.
Spike Nukem.
Alrighty. Fallen Angel 5414 asked, what are your thoughts on Equestria Girls?
I thought the first movie was okay. Not too good. Not that bad. Had a decent villain design, even if her setup was a little bit iffy. Second one was definitely a big step up, though.
I agree. In my opinion, the first movie wasn't spectacular, except for the lunchroom song, helping Twilight get the crown. A friggin' earworm, but I'm okay with that. But I agree, Sunset Shimmer was kind of set up poorly just to be a typical bully. But then in the second one, she is now one of my favorite characters. And just the second movie was a huge, huge step up. And the music, God, the music.
Earworms galore.
And just, yes. Yes.
Still wondering what exactly is the lunchroom policy. Does the musical numbers break out in Camelot High's lunchroom every other day or something?
I blame High School Musical.
Alright, on to story questions.
Moongaze14 asked, will the maniac have another encounter with Geigen?
I don't know. You can only do basically the same gag so many times, and the entire shtick behind them was basically they were one big walking parody of crossover ships. If I can get some original ideas, nothing's off the table, but I wouldn't count on it. Majad Dino 8823, and I am so sorry if I mispronounced that, asked, which Godzilla movie did you watch first? That would be Godzilla 2000. I saw it in theaters.
Mine was Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth. It was the first one that Tarp showed me. What kaiju had you initially wanted to enter Equestria, but ended up being replaced by one of the 6 that the Dimensions Tide ended up sending there?
Originally, it was going to be Anguirus, because he was probably going to end up being the kaiju in the original Sword story plot. Then I replaced him with Gamera when the story started expanding, and then Gamera got replaced again, put Anguirus back in his spot because I love Anguirus and wanted to give him some spotlight, and this resulted in some of Gamera's traits being grafted onto Anguirus. This is why his first encounter with an equestrian is a little girl, friend of all children.
Can we expect Bagan to personally communicate with and get an equestrian villain to do his bidding?
Eventually. Bagan isn't as quiet as Engine and can be quite vocal. I'd imagine he might have to show them by force just how powerful he is, just so they don't get the idea to betray him, much like he did with the kaiju villains. Kaiser King Zilla X asked, what drew you into the Godzilla franchise in the first place? Well, for me, I've always loved dinosaurs. As a kid and now, I'm currently working on my paleontology degree. So when little kid me heard about Godzilla, and I heard there was this big, bad, powerful dinosaur that could wipe the floor with every other monster because he was the king of the monsters, I had to go see it, and got hooked ever since.
Admittedly, I was never interested, to be honest. Like, I knew of Godzilla, but I wasn't, like, rushing to go see it or anything. And it wasn't until very much later in my life, more like, what, 2, 3 years ago, that I started watching it. But Tarb's love of it drew me in. Ever since I've met him, it was Godzilla and dinosaurs, but I'm not complaining. And working on the bridge as well sort of pushed me over the line into wanting to see it since I was drawing these characters. And so one day I just up and asked him to show me a movie. I'm trying to remember what his reaction was.
Quite ecstatic would be the understatement. And just for anyone to think of, imagine the most high-pitched, cutest squealing you could possibly imagine, and that was what Faithy's reaction to seeing Baby Junior on screen was.
What? He was adorable.
He is adorable.
He's just a little thing. He's so tiny.
Well, comparatively speaking, he was about the size of a cow coming out of that egg.
In kaiju standards, he was so tiny. Seriously, he was barely as big as Godzilla Sr.'s foot.
And the amount of squealing whenever Mothra shows up. Alright. What made you stay? For me, it was sheer numbers of the movies. Hunting them all down during my childhood, once I found out just how many there were, including some that hadn't been very widely distributed in the US, because this was back when mostly we had VHS, not this newfangled DVD thing.
Newfangled tech.
So I was reading about, searching for, trying to find these movies on TV, in flea markets, on eBay. So it was all like one big Indiana Jones hunt for me from ages 5 to 15.
What made me stay was hearing We're All to Blame in Final Wars. That was the moment when I was like, yep, this is a series for me. Yep. But in full honesty, despite that, they honestly just appealed to me. It was honestly fascinating to me how easily I could get sucked into the world, despite it being made of miniatures, props, and rubber suits. I really commend them for pulling it off like they did.
And she still is kind of flabbergasted whenever I point out a miniature as a miniature and not actually Tokyo Tower getting knocked over.
There goes that tower again.
And that pagoda. There's a quote in a Godzilla movie. It's that Tokyo Tower and or something looking very similar has to get knocked over.
Mm-hmm. And what about Godzilla himself do you like the most?
Cool, simple, pretty timeless design. It's just nothing super flashy. He's a big dinosaur with spikes on his back. That and his humongous film history and the varying tone. If you want it dark and gritty, there's a Godzilla movie that's dark and gritty. If you want campy slapstick, there's a campy slapstick movie. If you want in the middle with horrendous dubbing, there's one in the middle with horrendous dubbing.
Yeah, ditto for the most part. I also like his abilities and just the entire world and all that. Zillafire101 asked, what was the hardest point that you had to write in the story? Like, what gave you the most difficulty when it came to coming up with a part?
Figuring out who goes when, who goes where, and why are they over there.
Ultimate Warrior of Zira asked, are you going to develop Brayburn in the Little Strongheart story?
If I can get them to show up again and not seem forced, yes.
And will Gamera make peace with Iris?
Probably not unless it occurs in the sequel, since Gamera's not appearing anymore, other than any long-distance calls Leah decides to make.
Charred Firescale asked, if the mercenaries, the group that encompasses X, Iris, Gigan, and Megalon, ever get into a brawl with the actual Power Ponies, how would that play out? Would there be a conclusive win, or could it be anybody's win?
Considering the Power Ponies live in a comic book where it is literally rated A for all ages, and he win by knockout and rather than one team killing the other one. And it's hard to calculate the Power Pony's exact strength since MLP characters' abilities go up and down like a roller coaster. So I gander the Mercs probably could pull out a win if their individual power can trump the Power Pony's higher numbers.
And will the kaiju ever get to drink something alcoholic in this fic?
It is quite possible. Best Titanosaurus on Fimpic asks, least favorite kaiju for you two? Hetero. Big time.
Ugh, ditto. Yuck.
Most interesting. Monster X was a real ball to come up with all this backstory, given we had so little to go off of in the movie. He's a Ghidorah, but for some reason he has a humanoid form. The Exilians use him as a war weapon, but for some reason he's only last resort. Why is he inside of an asteroid? Why does he transform into Kaiser? Bunch of questions, and I like the answers that I came up with.
Personally, I find Destroya the most interesting, mainly due to the fact that being thrust into this new world gave her so many new emotions and feelings that she's never experienced before. And just seeing how she can function and seeing how she learns to cope, if she does, just adds to her character for me.
Points have been made. Next.
Xander KH on Fanfiction asked, when you're writing for this fic, what voices appear in your head to voice all, or at least the majority, of the kaiju characters?
Oh boy. Alright. Junior is Travis Willingham. You might recall him from Full Metal Alchemist. He was the voice of Roy Mustang.
Roy Mustang.
Fangirl.
Come so theatrical, Full Metal.
Colonel? Shouldn't you still be in the hospital?
Probably.
I heard about Lieutenant Havoc. I'm sure Dr. Marco...
Hold on. People are watching us. Get in. On second thought, let's get out.
Leah is Ali Hillis. She's the primary voice of Lady Palutena from the Kid Icarus series.
Gourd on head.
Yes?
We are going out for dinner.
And Garrus is James Horan. He was the voice of Wheeljack from Transformers Prime.
If you're trying to ruin my day, you're gonna have to try harder.
Rodan, Michael Rosenbaum. If you've seen any of the DC animated shows, he's likely the guy they had voicing the Flash.
Fitting.
Mm-hmm.
You are no fun. This isn't supposed to be fun. We've got a job to do, and we will do it better without distractions, understood?
Yeah, I hear you.
Zenila is Crispin Freeman. Faith?
Itachi from the Naruto series.
Ah. Hey, wasn't he also Alucard from Hellsing?
I think so.
Yep, definitely fitting.
You're starting to bore me. Let's cut to the chase. What are you here for?
Guyan. Oh god. Just to establish, I am not a fanboy. I do not even watch this show. But I have heard him in Batman or the Red Hood as Jason Todd, so Jensen Ackles.
You wanna dance? Let's dance!
Megalon is Nolan North. He's a common voice for Deadpool in animated shows and games. Or at least someone who tries to sound like Nolan North.
Short and short on deodorant is a real bad combination, Stabby. You see that? That's how you beat Wolverine, people. And you don't even need optic glass!
Iris is a video game voice actress named Christina V.
The time for talk is over. They cannot go unpunished.
Monster X is Brian Jepson. He's another voice actor. I mostly know him from Guyver, where he was Guyver 3.
Get down. The metallic orb in your abdomen is a gravity control device. If you concentrate, you should be able to levitate.
Kaiser Ghidorah is Peter Mensaw. Some people might be surprised it's not Broly's voice actor, given how much he's growling and roaring every other line, but I really like Mensaw as Predaking in Transformers.
I will tear you apart!
King Ghidorah is... Shay, I can't pronounce this.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, it's that guy, Smaug.
Sherlock.
Fangirl.
Who are you that would stand against me? Now that is a pity. What will you do now, Bowman? You are forsaken.
And back in is Michael McConaughey, complete with the voice distortion he had as that big monstrous dragon from World of Warcraft. You know the one I'm talking about.
The world heaves with my torment. Its wretched kingdoms quake beneath my rage.
Also, wasn't Destroya, what was her name? Stephanie Young?
Yes. Yep, definitely Stephanie Young.
I am unleashed.
When you watch Godzilla movies, do you prefer the dub or the sub?
Yeah, I prefer the dub. Yes, the dub can be incredibly narmy at times, and I find a lot of unintentional humor, like this clip.
Oh no! Oh, what could possibly stop all of them?
Which is part of the charm in these movies, and that's one thing that they can't exactly make serious all the time. Besides, I don't like reading through a movie all the time. What was your reaction to finding out the fic was becoming this popular? Oh, wow. Dumbstruck. I never saw this coming.
Extreme happiness for Tar was my reaction. Gundam55 asked, will Iris and X possibly get dates in the human world?
Not likely. Will Megalon get more candy?
Quite likely. Will Zenila stop being a high-functioning sociopath?
Would you prefer he be a low-functioning one?
Fanfic27 asked, will Monster X face off against Godzilla?
We got the leaders of two faction groups. Do you think that they are not going to slug it out at one point? Will you feature Otachi from Pacific Rim in this story? While she has appeared in a couple cameos, I will finally get her off the ground, and she's going to be involved in one massive brawl coming up. It's going to be in the Manhattan, and it's going to involve it. Never mind, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm bad with spoilers.
Zod the Immortal One asked, if Jet Jaguar ever came to Equestria, what would he be?
Something that does not need to kneel to Zod the Immortal One. She would be an Alicorn princess, the princess of...
Punch, punch, punch!
Princess Jaguar. Will Hedorah, Gyra, Legion, and the rest of the bad kaiju meet any ponies?
Well, they're not going to stay in Zenith this whole time.
Kaiju and Pony Fan asked, if the High Side Godzilla universe continued, what kind of story would you like to see?
Honestly, seeing any kind of story with a grown-up junior would have been cool. Just to see how he may or may not contrast with his father, and to see what sort of things he would do, given he had a different upbringing.
Still so upset that they never covered his growth and grounding after versus Destroyer.
Especially considering Final Wars was supposed to be his outing.
That would have been awesome! Next question. I take it the Nightmare Forces are afraid of Bagan.
Rightfully terrified.
Who is / are your favorite Godzilla girl? Z. Mothra, Destroyer, Iris, and Raiga.
So pretty much yes.
Yes. Dragon363 asked, will there be a joke chapter with Pinkie Pie and a band playing Go Go Godzilla?
Nothing is off the table. Also, will there be more scenes in the bridge that hit the readers right in the feels, either for sads or making them go, ooh, that was awesome. Ooh, I'm planning some stuff, alright.
So much stuff. Ooh.
Can't tell if it's gonna make you guys hate me or love the story even more.
Don't worry, Tarp. I have the bunker prepared.
Jason on Fanfiction asks, is there any contact or corroboration between you and the author of Humanity's Stand? Is it to say that you two share plans frequently, so those two stories stay in canon with each other, and so the spin-off doesn't take out any kaiju you'll need for the sequel? Yes, we do chat on occasion, and just so some people know in case they've missed it, Humanity's Stand is a spin-off being written that details of what is going on back on Terra while the kaiju are in Equestria.
And their second question. So far, the Shobijin, also known as the Elias, have had one semi-appearance. Is there a reason that they were able to make contact then but not since? What is that reason?
Technically, they're not in Equestria. They weren't directly with Leo when she got sucked in. They're back on Terra and can only reach out through the dimensional tear, kind of in the same way Leah made that long-distance call to Gamera. They only contact her when they're in danger or they're trying to intentionally reach out to Leah, and now that they know she's safe, they're not going to go to the extra effort trying to contact her unless they need to.
And question 3. Also, if I had a semi-spoiler question, might they show up again?
Yes.
Nintendo Hero 64 asked, when will we see any hero kaiju entering the Equestria Girls world with Twilight?
Definitely in the sequel, unless I get a really big idea along the way.
Will T-Rex be appearing in future chapters?
Indeed.
Brony Kaiju Soldier on Fanfiction asked, are you thinking of doing or having someone do a side story or chapter going through different events of Senior's life?
Not sure what else there is to tell about Senior's life, since we saw it all over a series of movies, but I do have some ideas to cover some untrodden ground.
Yonder Phantom asked, when making the timeline, was it simple to make it? Like, did you have it all planned out and the rest kind of came to fruition? Or was it hard to decide what bits and pieces from all these films and lore to keep and which to not in this combined universe?
Was that easy? No. From the timeline, I was trying to introduce as much as possible, but every new addition changed or affected multiple points that had already been established. Just for example, fusing together Rebirth of Mothra with the Godzilla series meant that Rebirth of Mothra's history and Godzilla's future had to be rewritten, because now we have two Mothras in the same timeline that otherwise were unrelated, so I had to do stuff like retconning the Heisei Mothra to be Mothra Leah's mother, changing it around to explain where the hell Junior has been in all this, and just going from there. Now that I already have a Mothra and a King Ghidorah established, what do I do about GMK? Everything changes everything. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it is not.
Sounds rather complicated.
It is.
And question 2. Considering they were made together, and each I think were made specifically to stop Bagan if he were to return, do the Guardians consider themselves family, considering that they're all that's left of a different time in their creators, close friends perhaps, or do they not see each other as such and are indifferent to one another? On the theme of family, are all the Godzillas related? 1954 is the grandfather, Senior the father, and Junior the son, with the 2014 version a possible related party. Are they all merely related to the species or kind of like a family? Like what Senior called the 1954 Godzilla father, as Junior refers to him as such, unless he didn't even know of his existence.
Breathe. Senior was the biological offspring of the 1954 creature, thus making the 1954 creature, which is now Kiryu, Junior and Zen's grandfather. The 2014 beast, however, is not the same species or closely related. This is because his species predates the dinosaurs, which the rest of the three are. It's just by chance that the three happen to look similar and have similar abilities. On to the Guardian beasts, however, some of them do consider each other family, or at the very least, loose family. For instance, Rodan might refer to Anguirus as his cousin. Mr. Voorhees 101 asked, when did you first learn of Godzilla? I mostly heard about it as a little kid. I saw a couple of the Hanna-Barbera and TriStar cartoons on TV and saw Godzilla 2000 in theaters.
I always knew of him, as I said. You know, if you took, I don't know, 7-year-old me and asked me if I knew who Godzilla was, I would say, oh, big fire-breathing dinosaur. Or dragon. I might say dragon. But I never heard much about him in such detail until I met Tarb.
I infected her.
And what a good infection it was.
Dark Thunder 144 asked, if Godzilla was teleported into G-Force's main base while still being a pony, what do you think the reaction there would be? I would pay to see their reaction. There'd probably be quite a lot of shock at first, though once they figured out what was going on, knowing this day and age, somebody would try to take a selfie with them. Hashtag cutie kaiju.
Hashtag ponychu. Hashtag selfie. Oh, I think a selfie.
If Mechagodzilla 3, the one with the Godzilla bone still inside of it, was now in Equestria as a pony and was in complete control of himself, what do you think would happen? Given that he chose to do good and forgave humanity in Tokyo SOS, I think he might have gotten over his hatred for humans by now and be calmer. Also, given that ponies and humans aren't the same thing, any gripe he might still have wouldn't transfer onto them. I can't see him being buddy-buddy with them. He'd probably just go off and do his own thing.
And question 3, will there be changelings in the story? If there are, do you need a changeling OC? I have one. Though, sorry if I sound a little demanding with this.
Shoot me the info, since changelings will be appearing, and If I can use them, I will. No promises. Reader review on FemFiction asked, what is your favorite Jaeger from Pacific Rim? Gypsy Danger.
Ditto. Question 2. How do you deal with writer's block?
Going off into the woods or river and intentionally getting myself lost for a while. Turning off the noise and just thinking for a while helps, and I get to see all the critters.
And run into bears.
Yes, bears, manatees, alligators, coyotes, snakes, and the occasional feral bull.
Yeah, not kidding. This guy over here ran into a bear in the middle of a phone call with me, and all I remember hearing before he hung up was, "Gotta go, bear."
What? I had to hush the phone and make sure I didn't startle it.
I was scared out of my mind for the next 10 minutes until you called me back.
Sorry.
And of course, when you call me back and then you're just all chipper, just like, "Oh, hey, sorry about that. Ran into a bear."
What? It's happened before.
Then again, I'm not from where he's from. I'm not used to all the animals, so. Ooh, lordy.
Meanwhile, I walk by and it's like, oh, look, a 13-foot alligator.
Yeah, the most I have to deal with is little stuff like squirrels, cats, maybe the occasional dog. Birds.
Hang on, Faith, a bull shark's bumping into my kayak.
Eh. Well, before we get onto that tangent, Sea Captain 77 asked, will things other than Godzilla and MLP be mentioned or referenced in this literary work?
Yep, I do a lot of small tributes and references along the way that may or may not be easy to spot. Sometimes they're MLP related, sometimes they're Godzilla related, sometimes it's something else entirely.
Metroid Prime asked, question 1, in their equine forms, are the kaiju capable of producing fertile offspring?
Given that they're genetically identical to the species they are now, yes. Would the offspring inherit some of the powers of their parent?
Most likely. And question 3, if the offspring went to Earth, would it assume a kaiju form?
Likely. It would be very similar to the parent that was a kaiju, so it wouldn't be this bizarre pony kaiju mix of these junior crossings. If Junior had a kid and they went back, they probably would not have a giant mane.
All that hair for days.
Hair easily set on fire.
Oh god. Yeah, that would suck. Godzilla FIM asked, will we be seeing Junior fire his red spiral ray?
Anything's possible. Question 2. Can we expect Zenila and Destroya to transform into their kaiju form? There is going to be a big fight. It is not too far down the road. A lot is going to happen in that fight.
Besides Zenila and Destroya, who are the other members of the mutations?
Okay, never mind. I'm doing a poker rap. I'm not even going to try. Megaguirus, Dagahar, Legion, Titanosaurus on rare occasions, Obsidius, Crystallock, Gyra, Agon, Sego, Pulgarosai, most of the mutations that we saw in the Godzilla animated series. Occasionally the Gauss Horde, mostly just Zenila pointing them in the right direction and getting them to attack what suits him, and Embera.
Super Godzilla 2030 asked, when will Bagan finally make a physical appearance and invade Equestria?
Gotta say something for the finale now, don't I?
Yeah, be patient, goodness.
Don't worry, he's not gonna be like Thanos from the Marvel movies and just sit on his throne for God knows how many movies. His chair isn't that comfortable.
Oh, Lord. Oh, God.
The Meta, too, and Faith help.
Phaedrelus.
Thank you. I am sorry about your usernames, people. I just don't want to botch them.
No.
Do you know anyone who can perform a high-quality reading of the Bird series? If not, you should really look into it. Or are you planning on doing an audio version? If so, will you be asking for cast members?
That honestly would be awesome, but we just don't have the knowledge or the resources to make it happen right now. I honestly have no clue what goes into organizing a reading of a story, much less a big story like The Bridge.
Yeah, we're over 200,000 words right now. It's not exactly like we're a short read.
And we're over 20-some chapters and we're still going.
Prominent commentator on DA asks, are your versions of the MLP Next Gen going to be in the conclusion of the Bridge series? Eh? Well, there's your answer.
Next question. Are any of your Bridge-only characters, OC and Kaiju, inspired by some characters from other series? In terms of personality, I mean.
Given that almost all the kaiju had very little to go off of in canon, I had to do a lot of filling in, and using outside characters as a basis just to keep stuff consistent really does help in that regard. As for OCs, the only OC that I actually own that appears in the fic is Kisong. Everybody else is borrowed from readers or the OC group on fanfiction. That said, here's the list. Junior is a mixture of Samus Aran and Roy Mustang. Shush. Leah is Palatana, again from Kid Icarus. Anguirus has a bit of Wheeljack from Transformers and the Showa Age Gamera. Rodan is a walking Flash reference, mostly Wally West, but with a bit of Barry Allen in there too. Destroya is Shyvana from League of Legends, or at least I used her personality as a reference. Zenila has a bits of Alucard and bits of Itachi in him. Gigan, being more of a professional mercenary, is mostly based off Deadshot from the DC comics. Megalon, by comparison, is primarily based off Deadpool from the Marvel comics. Iris has bits of Riven from League of Legends. Monster X is a mix of a bunch of anti-heroes and anti-villains I've seen growing up, namely Zanaku from Power Rangers Wild Force and Duskmon from Digimon. Kaiser Ghidorah is mostly based off Broly from Dragon Ball Z. King Ghidorah has a lot of tyrants thrown in, namely Smaug from The Hobbit and Tolkien's works and Cooler from Dragon Ball Z. Bagan's primarily based off Unicron from Transformers and Deadwing from World of Warcraft. And Kisong, I took some of those from Jin from Avatar The Last Airbender.
They all sound very good.
Thank you.
And question 3. Were you dealing with some complaints or angry fans? I apologize, but I don't know what else to call it. When you included Flash Sentry into the series. I know he was just briefly there, but so was he in Three's a Crowd, and just watch the reactions on YouTube.
Bitch, doesn't look like I give a damn. I never understood the Flash hate anyways. Yes, he's underdeveloped and kind of bland, but he's a male character in a female-centered show that's kind of the side effect. Besides, he didn't get that much screen time, and honestly, I feel like a lot of people are just complaining because he stole their waifu.
Hey, I'm here to steal your waifu.
Pretty much.
Joke originally by No Whacking from Bronies React, so I don't claim any of that. But I agree. I don't understand the Flash hate. In fact, to me, he and Twilight look really cute together. Granted, I did not like how he acted in Rainbow Rocks, but he was under a spell. And I'm sorry, but just when he started acting like a dork in the first movie, once Twilight was like returning his stuff, like going to the dance with him, and then him running into the door, and dancing with her, despite her dancing in an embarrassing way, I'm sorry, I love when people do that. Because it shows acceptance, and I love it.
Brad is a nice guy. The Hooded Mage on DA asks, 2 years and 23 chapters. That's a huge leap, I must say. How does it feel to keep making this story? Like, how do you two manage all this? Constant brainstorming to come up with new ideas and expand upon old ones. I have a rough outline of how the rest of the story plays out, such as its major events or character developments, but getting there, thinking about who says what actions lead to what, and where it's set, is constantly getting filled in. Though, I love doing it. I love coming up with a story and trying to be creative, and I just adore entertaining people.
Yeah, I take care of the artwork and the proofreading, at least the first wave of the proofreading. Um, Skylark does the second half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do on occasion help him with ideas. Things that make me happy, for the most part, with helping him with ideas is when I'm able to help him connect to ideas that he's having an issue with. But otherwise, I mainly go through and pick the art myself, though sometimes I will take some requests that Tarp has. Funnily enough, though, lately he's been having to tell me to cut back on the pictures.
She'll say, "Hey, Tom, I got 5 picture ideas, and I just thought it was 5. 3. Max, I don't want to take over your artwork."
So 4, right?
3.
3.5?
3.
3 in a video?
3.
We really only have these problems when a chapter has a video, because then it's like, he'll be like, oh, don't worry about artwork. But the video's at like the beginning of the chapter. I gotta fill in the rest of it. 3. 2. 3. No, 2. Tarb. 3.
Faith, the video has 6 pictures in it. We have 2 chapters worth of pictures in the video. We don't need 3 more.
Yes, we do.
See what I put up with.
I'm a handful.
Next question. Have you two ever thought of making an animated video for it? Perhaps another intro.
I'm sorry. I mean, that would be awesome, don't get me wrong, but I do not have the patience to animate, nor do we have, like, the proper resources. To put it bluntly, what I've got to work with is GIMP and Windows Movie Maker.
I have Sony Vegas, but I have no idea how to make animation.
I was about to say, what you see in the video is what you're gonna get. Like in each videos that we do, each of the videos, I can't grammar. Like that sort of quote unquote animation is about the most that we can do. So I do apologize, but sadly, unless somebody else is willing to do it, no.
It's sadly beyond our reach. If someone else wants to do it, you're welcome to, but I'm sorry, we're just a bunch of noobs. Question 3. Personally, what is your favorite part of making the bridge? Does it feel like a job that you enjoy, or is it an undying demand that sparked it? Bit of both sometimes. It feels great to write, come up with a story, and entertain people, though sometimes constant requests and demands by people I know mean well can nevertheless be very annoying and strenuous. Asking me a dozen times when the next chapter is going to come out is going to slow it down. It gets grating.
Yeah, I'd say ditto. When it comes to working with Tarp on this, I adore it, and I love to make each picture and make his scenes come to life. And I love when we get a good video idea and I'm making the stills for it while blasting the music that's going to be in the video. But I get my share of grading comments, to be honest. And a lot of those are, hey, when's the next chapter coming out? I'm not the writer. Yeah, that's another thing we kind of have to deal with is a lot of people think I'm the writer. So I kind of have to constantly tell them that it's Tarp here, and then I'm just the artist. But yeah, it's
Meanwhile,
just.
I'm also constantly telling her not to sell herself short.
But I don't sit and write the thing. I help with ideas. It's different. But so yeah, just there are times when I get some strenuous comments as well. Requesting characters, requesting ponifications of kaiju, and other things that I just do not have time for or don't want to do. But don't get us wrong. You guys have been awesome, and we do love you guys. It's just kind of rolling with the punches, I guess, because you will get those comments every now and then.
And we can tell you guys mean well when you say it. I mean, I adore you guys. I think you're the best reader base out there. Just, wow. I've read the TV Tropes page, and good God, how big it's gotten.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing the review comments after I post a chapter, just the general reactions. We do love you guys, so don't take this wrong and think we suddenly hate you.
Oh, no.
We're not going to ban you for asking when's the next chapter.
Right. If anything, just remember that we're both human. We both have schedules, lives. And so just try to keep that in mind. But we are still working, and we love you guys. NC Brony asked, what are some ideas that didn't make it into the final cut?
When the story was going to be much shorter than it ended up being, the main villain was probably going to be King Ghidorah. That and Destroyer was going to be probably male or nondescript in the original, but then I thought about it more and decided, screw it, I'm making her a girl.
Oh, the controversy that happened with that. I still get questions. What? How is Destroyer a female? And so I have to go and look for the Q&A, copy paste.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just find it funny. It's just like, okay, if I had a nickel for every time I've had to answer this question. But
considering the last MLP crossover I read that involved Destroyer boning Luna, yes, I can understand it gets confusing.
Mm-hmm. Next question, before we get into that debacle. Black Vegetable asked, if Kaiser Ghidorah's personality was partially based on Broly, which kaiju would be suited for Ultron's, whether mainstream comic or Age of Ultron, his personality?
Not sure. I admittedly don't read much comics. And I've only recently watched the Age of Ultron film, so I'd say probably Zenila has a little bit of the film incarnation in him. A bit unintentionally, considering I made Zen 2 years before I even saw the movie. Rex Anderson 321 asked, if you were able to add new kaiju into the bridge, who would it be? Raiga, probably for the crazy awesome personality I ended up coming up with for her. It's amusing.
Ditto. I adore the personality and character he's come up with for Raiga. Though, seeing Zilla Jr. come in would be amazing.
If anyone needs an idea, think of a kaiju version of Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash that did the fusion dance.
Oh, and 2 other words, the Scout.
Scout from TF2. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Fast runners tend to be fast talkers.
Mm-hmm.
Question 2. What do you think of this idea? Godzilla and Zenila meet. They start fighting. They stumble into Twilight's castle, fall into the portal, meet Monster X across the portal. X transforms into Kaiser Ghidorah, and shit goes down at Carolite High.
Sadly, the story takes place pre-Twilight's castle, so the only portal besides Bagan's portal is in the Crystal Empire right now.
What she said. Though that would be one heck of a brawl.
Stormbringer 900 asked, what was going through Celestia's mind during the confrontation between Godzilla and the Gauss flock? Seeing Godzilla in his true form and witnessing his power, other than the safety of her subjects, of course.
Likely a bit of fear at first. Typical response to seeing a kaiju, let alone a very powerful one like Godzilla for the first time, so that's perfectly excusable. Especially after seeing him probably roast more than a couple Gauss with fair relative ease. But after seeing him firmly on their side, I'd like to think that she had some hope.
Between Destroyer and Megaguirus in the Bridgeverse, which of the 2 kaiju is the most sane?
Megaguirus, at least at first. She's a crazy stalker. Destroyer is Destroyer. Though Desi has gone through a bit of character development, so if they met now, Des would probably be the one who doesn't get sent to the doesn't get sent to the and you said you have bad grammar. And you said you have bad grammar.
And she doesn't afraid of anything.
Who probably isn't the one that'd be sent to a mental hospital. Yes, sorry, we're not professionals. We don't have Dr. Wolff or KP's practice or equipment, so we're recording this over Skype. So if you hear occasional background noises, we apologize.
And occasional flub-ups of our own talking.
Because we're a bunch of noobs.
Noob. And forgive me as well. I had to get up early for this, so I'm still a bit yawny. Well, my version of early. I am a
Night owl.
I am a night owl, damn it. And question 3. It's common knowledge to the average kaiju groupie that the Godzilla franchise was created by Tomoyuki Tanaka, Ishiro Honda, and Eiji Tsuburaya. Sorry, Japanese names. But here's my in-universe headcanon. 70,000 years before the events of the bridge, when the Earth Defender kaiju were created, there was a man named Tanaka, and he headed the breeding program, and that's why some kaiju use his name. Is that possible?
It's certainly possible. It would be a fun idea if the creator of the first kaiju literally was named Tanaka. Though the breeding thing might be a bit iffy since some kaiju predate 70,000 years, and they aren't all the same species, so I'm not quite sure how breeding would work. Though, it was the distant past, anything could have been possible. Maybe the creator of some of the first Guardian Beasts was named Tanaka. Metallic Brony asked, what is the chance of you making art of the family ship portraits in the Kaiju Pony fanships? Faith?
Unsure at the moment, to be honest. If I'm reading this correctly, you're probably referring to my next gen family portraits, and just, albeit you just want these the kaiju ships, and probably with children. But I'm honestly not sure if I am, and if I am, I'm not sure when. So.
Pyrus Leonidas asked, when will the animated video be shown?
If you mean the videos we've been doing already, they're up on YouTube and the compilations are on my DA.
Question 2. Can you include my character Firebolt?
As a background pony for art, yes. As like a character in the bridge, I can never guarantee anything. It just depends on if a slot is needed. You will get credit. Don't get us wrong. Just, I'm not going to make any promises.
And question 3. It's been 2 years already?
Yup. Golem123 asked, what made you come up with the idea for Monster X's origin?
Lots and lots of TV when I was a kid. There's a lot of tragic villains that I saw being played up in the early 2000s, such as, again, Zanaku from Power Rangers and Duskmon, and they left a big impression. Add the very vague but pretty enticing idea to make a backstory for the Exilian superweapon, and I had plenty of room to work with. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pony Adventures asked, which one of the bridge first characters is the least destructive?
Leah, by far. KageFan121 asked, out of all of Junior's powers, do you think he'll become Super Godzilla in the bridge?
Before I answer, I'm going to thank you for reading that one, because I probably would have blundered it and read that as Cage Fan.
It helps. I'm a Naruto nerd.
No. But to answer your question, not that far yet. I don't know. Question 2. Is Batra going to be in the bridge?
No, he's deceased in this timeline.
The way I've worked out is that with Terra's mana, it goes into the old Batra's corpse every time the old one dies and respawns a new one. This is why in the cave art in the movie that we saw Batra in, we saw an adult Batra, yet the one we saw in the movie was a larval form, at least first. However, because Terra's mana has been so restricted over the past 70,000 years, there wasn't enough to make a full replacement. Thus, the leftover energy went to Leah. This technically means she's half Batra and half Mothra. She just prefers to go by that moniker as Mothra because, well, she looks more like it and acts more like her mother anyways. Isaac Holt also asked, what about the Shadow of Red? Is he coming back?
No, the agreement was for a cameo.
Yes, I asked the creator and he gave his blessing to appear in for one scene. He was very specific about what I could do with him, and I only wanted to honor that portion. The only lasting impression he will leave on the story is Zenith. Question 2. Will there be a chance for the kaiju to possibly go into the parallel human world?
Well, the Dark Four have been there, but as for our kaiju main 6, we'll have to see.
And I do believe that is all of them.
Yep.
Thanks for joining up and helping me out with this, Faithy.
Oh, thank you too.
And thank you, readers, for submitting all these.
It was a lot of fun answering these for you.
We're sorry if we couldn't do it in an ultra-professional way. We're still a bunch of noobs.
Yeah, lack of income and stuff, kind of a bitch, but oh well.
We don't have a recording room.
No.
Best we can do is plug in some microphones and do this over Skype.
Or a webcam in my case.
But we love you all, and we are very thankful for helping this story last over 2 years and maybe another 2 years.
Let's hope. And we've got more coming for you in the future.
For now, though, ta-ta!
Bye-bye!